know, we always say that phrase, there's never a good time to say goodbye. It's true.
I would cry a lot because we knew he was going to die, and he would say, honey, we're going to meet in heaven. We're going to meet, there's hope. And this is the beauty of being a Christian and believing in God.
I did question why Mallory. I couldn't understand why Maya had to be my daughter, why it had to be Mallory. And I would say that to her, and she would always say back to me, it's because he knew I would do good with it, and she did. She led people to Christ. She led people to organ donation. We drew a lot of strength from her. She taught us so much.
Wow.
When you're questioning it, it's always, you know, like, why us, why me? But then sometimes we look back and we would say, why not us? Because, you know, what makes us different than anybody else? Just because we're Christians, the only thing that gives us is that reason to hope. And so you draw strength on that. And Jesus meets you where you need to be, but he also gives you that inner strength that you don't know you have. You know, you see commercials all the time for St. Jude, and I would think, how could anybody go through that? If it was me, I'd never be able to do that. And then when you face it, you find out that you have that inner strength that comes from somewhere that you don't know where it is, and it's obviously the Spirit, Jesus, moving through you to say, yeah, you can, and I'm going to be what supports you and keeps you upright.
I've never read my Bible more than at my daughter's bedside in the hospital, and we were blessed to have nurses that were believers and that sat with us and prayed with us, that came to her service here, and through, I think, you know, suffering to some degree, I think in a way, it sort of galvanizes your faith, and it brings you to a completely different perspective. And, you know, it certainly has brought my focus on what really matters and what's important, and on Jesus and on the ultimate end game of heaven.
Was there a point in the journey you never thought you would ever be able to sit in a room like we're sitting in tonight?
Through the grieving process, you have to process, and everybody does it differently, and that's where the stress comes into your relationships. And once everybody gets through that grieving process, I think you can start to find that new normal to be able to come and talk about it. But it takes time. You can't think about it right away. You have to get to that end process, and it's every day. It's a process. You know, every time I walk in our basement, I see pictures of Jackson. You know,
one of my biggest struggles still today is seeing my friends' daughters get married, knowing I won't ever get to experience that with Mallory. So, and it is hard to talk about this, very hard. It's been almost 9 years since Mallory passed away. A year ago, I probably couldn't have even done this. And it's different for everybody. Everybody grieves differently. And it's still very difficult for me to talk about even after that many years.
We drew comfort from talking about her, sharing stories, always talking about her. So it was, whenever we could, it was.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's always going to be hard to share your story, but if it brings one person to Christ, it's worth it.
Absolutely. You know, it's been really interesting to watch each of your journeys. I've gotten to see you guys here recently, but to watch each of your journeys, and you've all ended up in a place you never dreamed you would be. You know, and I remember those conversations at the beginning with each of you of going, you just got to keep walking. You get through today, then when you get through today, we're going to get through tomorrow, and then that tomorrow is going to turn into a week, and it's going to turn into a month, it's going to turn into a year, because you can't see yourself here. I want you guys to know that every time I look out, and I genuinely mean this, when I look out in the crowd and see you, it's a reminder that you can make it. Do you feel differently about heaven now than you did before you walked through what you've walked through?
Yes.
And if so, what feels different about it? When you hear something about heaven, what'd you say?
You want to go there, but like now I'm like ready, you know?
That's
like
how
I'm
I feel.
not, you know, it's just, I can't wait to see Jesus and then Stephen, you know? I just picture that and I'm just ready.
That's exactly how I feel. Before it was like, yeah, heaven's exciting and I can't wait to get there. But now that Mallory's there, it's like, I mean, obviously I want to see my grandkids grow up, but now it's like, I really can't wait to get there.
Yeah.
Because she's there waiting, you know?
I think it makes it more personal because, you know, thinking about God and Jesus thing, that seems nice, but thinking about you'll be reunited with,
Absolutely.
you know, the loved ones that passed, it really starts to personalize it for you and make it exciting to think about, you know, almost can't wait to get there now. You know?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, you know about heaven, you learn about heaven, and then, once you become a Christian, you go, okay, that's my home. But it's like a home that you don't really think about because it's far away. And, whenever we lost Emily and realizing Emily's there, then all of a sudden I just became fascinated because I wanted to know everything I could find out about heaven because I just really wanted to fully understand what she was experiencing because I knew it was beyond comprehension. And even in my earthly human mind, I couldn't even do it justice as to how amazing it must be. And so, much like it's been shared, I long to be there. Part of me felt a little bit guilty because it's like, that's where my Savior is, and I should have had that longing all along, but once Emily went, then I was like, okay, I'm ready, The
perspective changes, and it just makes it all so much more tangible when you think about, with Rosalind, we couldn't hold her. We could hold her hand, we could lean over and kiss her on the head, but she was hooked up to ECMO, and she was a newborn baby and looked normal on the outside. All the issues were inside, and the only time we got to hold her was literally in her final moments. And I think about that fondly, about being able to hold her again, and in a much more joyous setting.
When you hear the word hope, what's hope mean to you?
It's finding reason in the unreasonable. There's a reason for each of our stories, and there's some aspect to it that to us is unreasonable. Why we had to go through it, but it's finding the reason in that.
Is it hard to move past the why?
I don't know that I'm fully past it yet. It's still hard.
I would agree. I mean, I look at my kids every day and wonder why. But I try not to stay there. Because again, someone said to me, why not? Why not him?
It is a place where you'll get stuck.
Yeah.
And then you won't be able to go on to tomorrow.
Yep.
Whenever I get to those places, I start looking back and I think, wow, how God used Emily and how He's used her since as a platform. And I always believe that one day when I get to heaven, we're going to go, God's going to reveal all. And when He reveals all, we'll go, that was God's mercy. God is mercy.
I remember you saying, kind of when it changed for me was when you said, even if you know why, it's not going to make you feel better. So it just kind of, why question it?
I think it's more about acceptance, like it was God's plan.
Right.
So, yeah, we could sit on why all day, and we're going to go back and forth through our life,
Right.
But we just have to realize that it's God's plan, and it will make sense one day.
That's right.
Well, I try whenever I do get a why to the point now it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I mean, and even I would think, when I go to heaven and get to see my daughter, that'd be the first question I'd ask, but it won't be now.
What would you tell somebody that's in the middle of it right now? They're in the thick of it, and they're going, I'll never make it.
I would tell them to pray and pray and pray, and you will make it. Eventually, you'll make it, but you just got to have faith. You can't give up your faith. You got to let God help you through it, or you won't get through it. Not in my opinion.
Lean on others. Don't try and do it yourself. You know, that was, I think, what helped us out the most. And I think especially my wife was, I was working, so, what happens, I have to go back to work eventually. So you don't want reality to continue. You stop and you want everybody to say, you're like, do you not know what just happened to us? Our child or whatever passed away, and you want reality to stop, but it won't.
The hardest moment for me, the absolute lowest point, was leaving the hospital after she had passed away and knowing we weren't coming back. And I got in the car and I just lost it. I just sat in the car and we both were just crying. And this is a true story. My phone rings and it was Mike Lynch. And I don't remember everything you said to me, but I do remember that you said, you won't go through this alone. And we've never felt alone, ever. And that has gotten us through. I don't ever regret making it public. I don't ever regret trying to let others share the burden with us. And that's, we just were blessed in that moment.
We needed all the help we could get.
That's right.
We did.
That's right.
We still do.
Yeah.
That's right. That scripture, no eye has seen, nor ear has heard, nor has a mind ever imagined what heaven's like. When you let your imagination run of what you think heaven's like, what do you think it's going to be?
Perfect weather.
I really hope there's baseball.
Dogs.
Chick-fil-A.
You know that's going to be there.
Right?
Yeah.
No stress and no worries.
Yeah.
Just love.
Pure joy.
Pure joy.
I think peace is the one word I just latch on to. Just peace.
Whole. Just
Whole.
being whole.
Whole. Yeah, I like that.